I think we all know one thing for sure, and that is I'm pretty terrible at this game, and I'm saying that because I have no place to make a video like this. However, today we're gonna go through every brawler's best ability. And when I say that, I don't mean I'm just picking between their main attack and their super. I'm also gonna pick between their gadgets and their star powers. In other words, if a brawler has something that they're really known for, and if they didn't have that one thing, they'd be a much worse brawler. That's the one thing I'm gonna point out for every brawler in this video. I'm also not allowed to show any combos. I can only show one single ability or one single trait that they have. Shelly is actually kind of hard to choose from now, but I'm gonna say her best thing is clay pigeons. I kind of crossed it up between clay pigeons and her shell shock star power because that's also really good, but I feel like without clay pigeons, Shelly would really suck. And now that she's getting nerfed, she might actually rely on clay pigeons 100% again. Nita's actually kind of weird because you can't get hyper bear without her bear in the first place, so I guess I'm gonna have to kind of tie this one between the bear itself and also hyper bear, because most strategies with Nita just wouldn't work without hyper bear, but you can't get hyper bear without the bear. So I'll let you guys choose what's better, hyper bear or the bear itself. Colt's best ability honestly is just gonna be his super, because Silver Bullet isn't that good anymore. His star powers are kind of basic, and his main attack is literally just a worse version of his super, so I can't really see anything else besides his super to be his best trait or best ability. This one's pretty easy. Bull's best ability is his Stomper gadget. Without this, he honestly sucks. 90% of players who play Bull take this gadget because you kind of need it to play him correctly. At this point, it should just be in his main kit, so then I could say his super is his best ability, but his super is not that useful without the Stomper gadget. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Brock's best ability is his super. I was considering saying this gadget that explodes walls and makes it a larger AoE. His super kind of does that, but better. At the same time, you can get the gadget whenever you need it, so you can break really specific walls. It's really close, but I'm gonna go with the super. This one might be a little weird, but I'm considering saying that one of his best abilities is the throw gadget. This thing is so useful in a lot of different situations. However, I think I might just go with the super again. It kind of does the same thing that the throw does, like you knock somebody back with the super, but you also do damage, and then you can do extra damage if you have a star power, and his meteor gadget is also good, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the super. Barley is nothing special. I'm gonna say his super as well. It's basically a better version of his main attack. I remember a time when Poco's Screeching Solo literally carried him and made him one of the best brawlers in the entire game, so I'm actually gonna go with that in this one. Maybe times have changed and it's not as good anymore, but I still think it's a really amazing star power to pick for him, and it makes his super something that is really situational to something that you can use for anything, really. For Rosa, I was kind of tied between her Unfriendly Bushes gadget, which makes every single bush deal damage and slow enemies, but I think her super is just a little bit too good. Sure, it only lasts 3 seconds, but I mean, it's a lot of damage reduction, and if she didn't have that super, she would suck. This one's a little situational depending on the mode that you're playing, but I think that Jessie's slowing gadget makes her turret way better than it is without it. I honestly think that Jessie kind of sucks without any star power or any gadget, so you could also say that Energized is really good. I'm gonna say that this gadget is her best one though. This one's pretty easy. Dynamite's stun gadget. You literally do not want to pick him without this gadget. It carries him. I'm gonna be completely honest. I think Tick was the hardest choice so far, but I'm gonna go with his super. Now, you could say his main attack, you could say the gear that gives his super more health. All of that is completely valid, but I feel like without Tick's super, he would just be useless. You could also say that this shield is one of his best abilities. I honestly don't know. His kit needs all of this, and if you take away one of them, then he'll probably suck. But just for the sake of choosing one thing, I'm gonna go with the super. For 8-bit, I'm actually gonna say his plugged-in star power, because without this, you're gonna be slow for the entire match, and that's his one biggest downside, is being slow forever. And with this star power, you can become fast as long as your turret is alive, and it's a big radius. Rico is actually kind of tough because he has a lot of different really good stuff going for him. He has his main attack, which is amazing. It bounces, it covers a lot of area. He has a super, which is the same thing but better. And then you have the gadget, which heals you a lot, and I know that they nerfed it a few times, but it still pretty much fully heals you. And then you also have Robo Retreat, which is really good. So there's a lot to pick from Rico. Honestly though, it's so hard to pick. I'm considering going with the super because of how good it is, but also this gadget makes him so good. Will he be a bad brawler without it? I don't think so. So I'm gonna go with the super. I'm gonna be honest, Daryl is kind of hard because he doesn't have one thing that's broken. I mean, his super is really good for assassinating people, but his main attack does so much damage, and his gadgets are kind of like okay, they're not the best in the game. His star powers are also just like okay, but everything kind of ties together really well. So now it comes down to like, if you removed his main attack or you removed his super, what would he be worse without? Like, what carries him the most? and it's such a tie between his main attack and his super, but I might actually go with his main attack just because of how much damage it actually does. And like without that, if you change it to something else, he might just suck. But also without his super, you can't get up to anybody, so this is really hard. Penny for me is kind of a toss-up between her barrel and her actual mortar. Her mortar is extremely useful, but everybody uses her barrel, like as if it's its own super. But Penny without the mortar, it wouldn't work, right? So I'm gonna say it's really close between her mortar and the barrel, but I'm gonna go with the mortar. If the mortar was a little bit worse, then I would actually say that her barrel is her best ability. Carl has a lot going for him. His main attack is really good. Sometimes it can be a little bit situational though, but his other two really good abilities are his flying hook gadget, which is a huge contender for his best ability here. And then also his super, which you can also put a star power on to give you a shield, which is also really good. But does flying hook carry him too much? That's the main question here. Almost everybody uses it. It's universally really good. It works everywhere. It completes his kit, honestly. But the thing is, mostly people use flying hook to get in and then to use their super. So do we choose the super or do we choose flying hook? And since his super can get canceled, I'm actually going to say flying hook is his best ability because you can use it for a lot of different things. You can use it to get up to people, to get away, to dribble the ball, to get away with the gems. You can use it for a lot of different stuff. So I'm gonna go with that. Jackie is an interesting one in the sense where she actually kind of sucks, so it's kind of hard to choose her best thing, but I might go with Counter Crush. If somebody's near you and then they hit you, they're taking big damage, especially if you're hitting them as well. Sometimes it's hard for her to like actually lose a fight because the enemies are just hurting themselves more than they're hurting you, it feels like. Besides that, I'd probably say her speed boost gadget because you kind of need that with her. I'll go with Counter Crush. I think that's really good. Gus's main attack is all right. It's not really the best in the world. His super, on the other hand, is a huge shield. It carries him. It carries his team. But then we also have to think about his first gadget, which is also really good. That being Cookie Popper. You press the gadget, it does a bunch of damage and knocks people back. It's an insane carry for his kit, and if you don't have it, I feel like his kit actually isn't complete. His star powers don't carry him that much, but it's a toss-up between the super and Cookie Popper. If you got rid of one of them, what would make him a really worse brawler? And I'm gonna say his super is his best thing, his shield. Cookie Popper is really close behind that though. Bo has a really good main attack, but it's not the best one in the world. He also has a really good super. If you add Snare Bear on top of that, then you stun the enemies when they get hit by the super, and that puts them in a terrible position where you can literally obliterate them, or your team can obliterate them, and they have no chance. So I'm gonna say that his best ability is actually Snare Bear, because it makes his super like that much better. Ems is another brawler where her abilities combined make her kit complete. Like this gadget pushes people away. You don't want people to be close to you. After you push them away, you can use this super. It slows them. It's a huge AoE around you. But her main attack is insane. No matter what, this attack is incredible. It does insane damage. It's a big radius. It's just insane mid-range. And without this attack, I feel like she would kind of suck. I don't know what they would replace it with, but this attack kind of carries her. And even though these other abilities complete her kit, I think this is her best ability. Stu is a little bit weird because it really depends on your ping. Like if you have really good internet, it'll be different than if you don't have really good internet. So if you don't have really good internet, I'd say that his best ability is actually the farther dash. And if you do have really good internet, then I'd say his best ability is Gasso Heal. However, those are both reliant on his super, so we could say that his best ability is his super in the first place. And Breakthrough was once really good. This gadget is also really good. He has a lot of really good stuff, so I think we can boil it down to his super. Piper is actually really interesting here because her main attack is insane. It's one of the best ones in the game if you're at the right range and if there's not enough walls for people to hide behind. In that case, it's one of the best main attacks in the entire game. It does insane damage, but if people get up to you and then you don't have a certain gadget or you don't have her super, then she's just gonna die. So what do we say here? Do we say her super is the best because she can get away from people and she can break walls with it? Or do we just go with her main attack and hope that your teammates can defend you when people get close to you, right? There's also the option with Homemade Recipe, which homes in on people. But without that, I think she's still fine because if you can aim good, then you don't really need it. So I'm gonna go with her main attack here. Really, if you remove anything from her kit, she might just suck. But without her main attack, it wouldn't be Piper. Pam has a lot of good stuff. Her main attack covers a really wide radius. It does good damage up close or far away. Her super is also incredible. It's a healing radius. It can tank damage for you as well. There's a gadget where you can heal yourself and teammates inside the radius. She has a lot of really good stuff. Now, one thing that she has, which is really good for 1v1s and just getting a kill, is this gadget, which takes your enemy's ammo. Is that her best best ability though? I don't think so. All in all, I think her best ability is probably her super. Without it, she wouldn't really be Pam. Frank is hard in the sense where you can get countered really easily by a lot of people if you just get pushed away while you're doing literally anything. His super is an incredible ability. It can stun people, it can break walls, it does big damage, and then it lets you finish them off with other attacks. His main attack, honestly, it's kind of terrible. But then you add the gadget where you do extra damage, pull them to you, like literally almost 4,000 damage. That's insane. That's basically a super in itself. It pulls them and does huge damage. And then he has another gadget which makes it so then you can't get stunned. And then if you have that, his super could be really good, but it leaves you vulnerable. What leaves you less vulnerable is this gadget, right? So honestly, I'm kind of tied up, but I want to go with this gadget. I feel like it's a better version of his super sometimes. BB has a lot of good stuff. I think she has some of the most options out of any brawler in the game. She has a speed star power, which is really good. She has a shield star power, which is also really good. Her main attack is okay, but it's really short range, so I would not give that to her. Her super is also pretty good, but it's kind of situational. You might only hit somebody with it one time. All in all though, I think her shield star power is one of the best in the entire game, and she also has vitamin booster on top of that, so I might pick between one of these two as her best ability because they're both really, really good. You can get anti-healed, and sometimes enemies can do too much damage to you where your shield doesn't matter that much, and plus once you attack then it's gone. This one's really hard. I don't want to choose her main attack or her super. I think those could both be better. So do I go with the heal or the shield? I don't know. I'm gonna go with the shield, but I want to hear your comments because I can't choose this one. Yeah, this one's pretty easy. B's charge shot, literally one of the best things in the game. Let's move on. Nani might be a little bit hard to choose from just because she kind of sucks if she's in the wrong hands, but if there's a really good Nani player, they could clap your cheeks in an instant. Her super, it's all right. It's really situational though. It leaves you super vulnerable even if you have the shield star power. Her main attack is really good. It does some of the most damage in the entire game if you can land it. It's kind of easy to dodge, and it's also hard to hit in the first place. But then she has this gadget, the return to sender gadget, which can be crazy, but it can also be really bad. So this all comes down to a skill issue. If you're really good, then her best thing is going to be her main attack. If you're really bad, then her best thing could be return to sender. So in general, I'm going to say that her main attack is her best thing. But what if they removed her main attack and replaced it with something else? She could be a way better brawler. I don't think her super is her best ability, and I don't know if return to sender is good enough to say it's her best ability because you can use her other gadget. I might go with her main attack. Edgar is already a really bad brawler, but if you take his super away, he will be utterly useless. So I'm gonna go with his super as his best ability because it kind of carries his entire kit. Without it, he's gone. Griff has a really good gadget, a really good main attack, but I think his best thing out of all of them is his super. This thing's nuts, especially if you're good with it. And without it, I don't think he'd be as good. Brawlers like Grom are kind of hard to rank here because his super is just a better version of his main attack. It's larger, it knocks people back, it does more damage, it breaks walls, it does all that. Then he has a gadget like this where it shoots 3 times. That's like a mini super in itself, but he doesn't have anything else that's like too crazy. So in situations like this, I can really only go for his super. Then you got to think, what if they remove it and replace it with something different? Would that make him a bad brawler? Probably not. But right now, I'm just going to say his super is his best ability. For Bonnie, we have a lot to choose from. We have her Clyde form, which is already really good in itself. It's kind of slow though, and if you were in Clyde the whole time, she might not be that good. The good thing about Bonnie is that you're able to swap back and forth. But what if we were to take one of these away, right? Would she be a bad brawler if you could only be in this form? Yes, I think she'd suck. So I don't think that this is her best ability. Her super in itself is probably her best, and without it, she would be a worse brawler. But then you have her other super, which just turns you back into Clyde. So it's kind of weird to rank her. I guess all we can really say is her super. You have to keep it all. I would be absolutely crazy if I said that Hank's main attack was his best thing right now. It isn't the worst thing in the world, but the fact that you can't heal with it, you can't be seen in bushes, which I think the bushes thing is a good change. I don't think you should be invisible with this thing in a bush, but the fact that you can't heal with it like this makes it pretty bad. So I think there's only one contender for his best ability right now, and even this is situational because he's just such a bad brawler, but I'm gonna say his super is his best. That's the only good thing he has going for him right now. Mortis is easy. If you take his main attack away, it's not Mortis. His kit literally doesn't exist, so I'm gonna say his best thing is his main attack. Tara has a ton of crazy stuff. Her main attack is okay. Her gadget is really good, but she has one of the best supers in the entire game, so I'd be dumb if I didn't choose this. Jean's main attack has one of the best coverages in the entire game, but it doesn't do a ton of damage, so against tanks it really sucks. Without his super though, Gene wouldn't exist. Literally, it's his best ability, one of the best supers in the game. The interesting thing about Max is that her main attack is probably one of the best in the game. It may not seem like it because it's so small, but she can shoot it so much. And whenever Max gets balance changes, this is like the main thing that gets changed with her. So I'm inclined to say that her main attack is her best thing. But then we also have this dash, which makes you completely invincible. That's always really good. And then we have her super, which makes her and her teammates extremely fast, which is an integral part of her kit. So it's really hard to choose here. I mean, her main attack is nuts. Her gadget is nuts. Her super is nuts. Like, what do I choose here? We'll go with her super. I know I'm choosing super a lot, but a lot of brawlers have a lot of really good supers. Mr. P's main attack is okay, but his super is literally his entire kit. You remove his super, you remove Mr. P. That's all it comes down to. His super is his best thing. Again, for Sprout, that's going to be his super. You could argue the gadget that gives you the super back. That's also crazy, but the super itself is good enough. I'm going to say that. Byron's best ability is going to be his main attack. It heals, it does damage, it kind of does everything. And even though he's not the best brawler in the game right now, I think if his main attack was different, he would really suck. So let's go with that. Squeak has a really annoying main attack. He has a really annoying super. He has a really annoying star power that does a ton of damage. But the most annoying thing about him and the best thing about him is his gadget. This thing is still way too good. It's always been good. And it's what makes him a really good brawler most of the time. Gray's main attack kind of sucks. His super is really good, but it used to be better. Now, this gadget that pulls enemies to you is also really good. I think that Gray's kit would really suck without his super, so I'm going to say his best thing is his super. Willow has an okay main attack. Her super is really situational. It can be really good. It can also be kind of bad or useless. It just heals your enemies sometimes. But she also has this gadget, which does an insane amount of damage, 2,300 with one shot. That's basically a mini super again. So it's tied between that, but I'm gonna go with her super. I feel like without that, what is she then? Like, she's just another Barley. Doug literally only has one thing going for him, and that is his super. It's also getting buffed soon, which is gonna make it even better. And yeah, without that, he's not even a brawler. He's so bad without it. Spike has a crazy main attack, a crazy super, but the best thing about him is curveball. Even if you know how to dodge it, if you're in the wrong position, you literally cannot dodge it, which makes it way too strong. The star power is a staple for him. If you don't have it, you're probably doing it wrong. Crow's kit is honestly busted. Everything about it is really good besides his health. Like, his main attack is insane. It poisons people. He has a gear that makes it do even more damage. His super is nuts. However, the thing that consistently makes him the strongest brawler in the game is slowing toxin. This is broken. It's always been one of his staples ever since it came out. So I'm gonna go with that. Without his super, Leon literally has nothing else going for him. That's his main thing. So his best thing is his super. Same thing for Sandy. He may have a really good gadget, an okay main attack, some good star powers, but I think his super is the best thing in his kit. Invisibility, it's always going to be the best. Amber is kind of weird. She has a really good main attack. Sometimes it doesn't work out very well. Her super is also very good. It covers a large part of the map. It does so much damage, but without her main attack, what would she even do? Because of that, I'm going to go with her main attack. For Meg, I'm tied between her mech main attack and her mech super. I think without her mech super, she'd still be pretty good. And sometimes it's hard to get up to people with it in the first place because you're kind of slow. I'm going to say her mech main attack. I'm going to say Chester's best ability is his main attack when you have 4 projectiles. So whatever that star power is called. Without that, he's not as good. All of his supers are good in their own ways, but without this star power, he doesn't feel complete. You're missing out on a ton of damage. Gale's best ability is either the Twister or his super, and considering they're kind of similar and the super does damage and pushes people away from you, I'm going to say his best ability is actually the super. Surge's super levels you up, jumps, does damage, and knocks back, and makes you invincible. That is clearly his best ability. Colette's kind of weird because without her main attack, her super wouldn't work very well. Without her super, her main attack wouldn't work very well, but you also have a gadget to finish people off as well. But then you also have this insanely good healing gadget. So what's her best ability? I'm gonna say, in general, her best ability is her main attack because it counters tanks so well. I actually think Lou's best ability is his freeze mechanic in the first place. You can get it with your super or with your main attack or with a gadget. And if you don't really count that, then I'm just going to say his super is his best thing. Ruff's best ability is his super. You can buff your entire team. It's pretty cracked. Belle's best ability is her main attack. As long as the target you hit survives, then it bounces the little thing between them, which is really good. I think she can go without her super, and I also think she can go without her gadgets. Without his his super, Buzz doesn't exist. It's a giant thing that brings you straight to an enemy. It stuns them and it lets you kill them for free. This might be a little bit weird, but similar to Lou, I'm gonna say Ash's best ability is his rage mechanic. I feel like without this, he would really suck. You wouldn't get the speed boost, you wouldn't get the damage boost. He would just be normal at like level 1 rage the whole time. That would suck. Besides that though, if you don't count that, I'm gonna say that his main attack is his best, because what else could you even choose for that? Not very many people even play Lola anymore, but between all of her stuff, I honestly think that her main attack is her best ability. I mean, her clone is good, right? But it's not the best thing in the world. And her main attack in general is just really good. I mean, her super even uses her main attack as well. So I'm gonna go with that. Fang's best ability used to be this gadget, not anymore. You could say it's his main attack because he needed to get a super, and it also does a lot of damage, but his super gives him so much potential to team wipe like this, and it's just nuts sometimes. So I'm gonna go with his super as his best ability. The whole reason that Eve is so good is the fact that she can swarm you with babies. So I'm gonna say that her super is her best ability. She also has a gear for this. She has a gadget for this. She has a lot of stuff to just spawn more babies, but without her super, there wouldn't be enough. So I'm gonna say that's her best thing. You could also argue the fact that she can float on water. I'll take that too. Janet has some pretty good gadgets. She has an okay super. It's really situational though. And I feel like her main attack is what makes her as good as she was back then. Without it, she'd be kind of bad. But without her other things, she'd still be kind of bad. So I don't really know. For now though, I'm gonna say main attack. If you have a different idea, just leave a comment. This one should be obvious. Ever since it got buffed to do damage, this super has been insane. Otis super cracked, best ability. For Sam, you could argue that the star power that heals you is the best. Without the super, I feel like Sam would really suck. That makes his entire kit. The whole point of him is to throw your super and get it back. So without it, what would he be? El Primo too? When Buster used to be really good, he had two things that made him good. He had this gadget, which pulls enemies to you and slows them, which is really nuts. And his super used to be crazy. Now it's kind of bad. So I'm gonna say his best thing is this gadget. You could say that Mandy's best ability is when she stands still and shoots, but I don't even think that's very good. It's so situational, and if your enemies know what's happening, they're not gonna let you even do that. So between everything else, I'm just gonna say her super is her best. She's not even that good though, so it's hard to choose. RT's main attack is okay, and his super is pretty good, but it's situational. However, he has a few weird things. So this gadget that kills everything that you mark is really good. Without his mark in the first place, I feel like RT would not be that good. So I'm gonna say his mark is his best ability. I know it's not like a button that you press. Sometimes these little things are what make a brawler really good. Let's be honest, Maisie's main attack kind of sucks. If you're really good, then it would be a good main attack, but it's kind of easy to dodge and hard to hit in the first place. But her super, on the other hand, is nuts. I'm gonna say this is her best thing. Cordelius has a really, really good main attack, but the best thing about him right now is the fact that you can take people into the Shadow Realm. This is absolutely nuts. They are nerfing this soon after I upload this video, so it could be kind of bad after that. So I'm gonna say that the gadget where you silence people will still be his best ability. They're also nerfing that, but even 1 second is way too long. They should have learned from this when they added Fang's roundhouse kick. It was too long. It needs to be like half a second or less. So yeah, this gadget by far is best ability. So that's gonna do it. Every brawler's best ability, in my opinion. If you have any different opinions, leave a comment. But yeah, if you enjoyed, then subscribe. And if you're interested, I also have a Discord server that you could join. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram. Everything is in the link in the description below, so go check those out. But yeah, I'll see you later. Bye bye.